You did it again. You snapped at someone who didn't deserve it. You said something cruel to someone you love. You pushed away the person trying to help you. And now you're lying in bed at 3 a.m., replaying it in your mind, thinking, why did I just do that? I'm becoming exactly who I swore I'd never be. Your mother's sharp words, your father's cold silence, the friend who betrayed you, the partner who made you feel worthless. You promised yourself, I will never make anyone feel the way they made me feel. But somehow, you just did. Here is what nobody tells you. You're not a bad person. You're a hurt person. And hurt people hurt people. Not because you want to, not because you're cruel or broken or weak, but because pain doesn't just disappear when we ignore it. It transforms. It travels. It finds new targets. The child who was screamed at becomes the parent who screams. The teenager who is ignored becomes the adult who withdraws. The person who is betrayed becomes the one who can't trust anyone. And the most heartbreaking part? You don't even realize you're doing it until you look in the mirror one day and see them staring back at you. But here's something else nobody tells you. Understanding why this happens doesn't excuse it. Knowing where your pain comes from doesn't give you permission to pass it on. Because healing isn't about justifying your behavior. It's about seeing the pattern clearly enough to break it. It's about taking responsibility for the fire you're carrying so you can finally set it down instead of burning everyone around you. Today, you're going to understand exactly why hurt people, not just intellectually, but in your bones, in your body, in the places where the hurt actually lives. And in that understanding, something will shift. The pattern will become visible. And for the first time, you'll see both the trap you're in and the way out. I'm going to take you on a journey, not a comfortable one, but a necessary one. We're going to trace the invisible path that pain takes, from one person to another, from one generation to the next, from your past into your present. We're going to look at 4 core reasons why people who've been hurt end up hurting others. 4 mechanisms that operate beneath conscious awareness, turning victims into perpetrators without them even realizing it. But here is my promise. Every time you understand why, you create space for something different. Every time you see the pattern clearly, you loosen its grip on you. This isn't about blame. It's not about shame. It's about truth. And truth is where freedom begins. Reason 1. Self-protection mode. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture a child. She's maybe 7 years old. And every day when she comes home from school, she never knows which parent she'll get. Some days, her father is warm, loving. He asks about her day, helps with homework, makes her laugh. Other days, he explodes over nothing, a messy room, a dropped glass, the wrong answer to a simple question. She learns to read the room in milliseconds, the way he closes the car door, the sound of his footsteps, the tone of his first word when he walks through the door. She becomes an expert at danger detection, at making herself small, at disappearing into the background when the storm is coming. Now, fast forward 25 years. That little girl is now a woman. Shay's in a relationship with a kind man who genuinely loves her. But when he comes home from work stressed, when his voice rises even slightly, something happens inside her body. Her heart races, her muscles tense, her breathing gets shallow. And before she can think, before she can remember that this is not her father, that this man has never hurt her, she attacks. What's your problem? Can't handle one bad day at work? Maybe if you weren't so incompetent, you wouldn't be stressed all the time. The words are sharp, cutting, designed to wound before she can be wounded. This is what I call striking, first to avoid being struck. It's a survival mechanism. Her nervous system learned decades ago that when a man's voice gets loud, pain is coming. So now it deploys a preemptive strike. Hurt him before he can hurt you. She doesn't want to say these things. She hates herself immediately after. But in that moment, her 7-year-old self has taken over the driver's seat, trying desperately to protect her the only way she knows how. Here is what's happening beneath the surface. When you've been hurt deeply, your brain builds what I call defensive architecture. It's like an alarm system that's been set to be hypersensitive. A normal alarm goes off when someone breaks a window. But your alarm? It goes off when someone walks too close to the house, when they look at the house, when they're on the same street as the house. Your system is trying to protect you, but it's creating the very thing you fear most, pushing away the people who actually care about you. And there's another layer to this. Sometimes you don't just strike first, you project. Projection is when you take the feelings you can't face in yourself, shame, anger, worthlessness, and see them in other people instead. If you feel unlovable deep down, you might accuse your partner of not loving you, even when they do. If you feel stupid, you might criticize others for being dumb. If you feel like a failure, you might constantly point out other people's mistakes. You're not doing this consciously. You're doing it because it's less painful to see these qualities in others than to feel them in yourself. Let me give you an example. A man grows up with a father who constantly criticized him. You're lazy. You're worthless. You'll never amount to anything. Now, as an adult, he constantly criticizes his teenage son. Why can't you just apply yourself? Do you want to be a failure? I'm trying to help you. He genuinely believes he's being helpful. He doesn't see that he's repeating the exact pattern that destroyed his own self-worth. Because when he looks at his son, he doesn't just see his son. He sees himself, the lazy, worthless version his father told him he was. And he's trying to prevent his son from becoming that. But all his son hears is, "You're not good enough. You're a disappointment." Can you feel it? The way protection becomes attack? The way trying to keep yourself safe ends up hurting the people you love most? This is the first reason hurt people hurt people. They're operating in permanent self-protection mode, seeing threats that don't exist and striking at dangers that aren't real. Reason 2. Unhealed wounds. Think about someone you know. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's someone close to you. Every time their partner says, "Can we talk?" their entire body floods with panic. Their stomach drops. Their throat closes. Their mind goes blank. Why? What's happening in that moment? Let me tell you what's really going on. When they were growing up, "Can we talk?" meant something very different. It meant their mother was about to tell them, again, everything they were doing wrong. "We need to talk about your grades. We need to talk about why you can't just be normal. We need to talk about why you're such a disappointment." Every talk was a verbal assassination, and that 10-year-old child learned, conversations about feelings equals I'm about to be destroyed. Now, 30 years later, that wound is still there. It never healed, because they never knew the wound existed. They thought they were fine. They thought they'd gotten over it. They moved out, built a life, became successful. But the wound doesn't care about success. The wound is still bleeding, waiting for something, anything, to touch it. So when their partner, who loves them, who just wants to discuss something minor like vacation plans, says, "Can we talk?" their 10-year-old self takes over. They shut down, get defensive, say, "What did I do wrong now?" in a tone that's already hostile. Their partner is confused. They just wanted to talk about vacation. But they're not responding to their partner. They're responding to a 10-year-old memory that their body holds as if it happened yesterday. This is called an emotional flashback. Your conscious mind is in the present, but your nervous system, your body, has been transported back in time to the moment the wound was created. And from that wounded place, you react, not with adult wisdom, but with childhood survival strategies. But let me tell you about something even more heartbreaking. There was a woman, let's call her Jennifer. Every single time her husband packed his suitcase for a business trip, something inside her would ignite. The night before he left, she would pick a fight. Always. Find something to be angry about. The dishes, his tone of voice, something he said 3 weeks ago. Her husband was confused. "Why do you always do this right before I leave?" He'd ask. And Jennifer? She had no idea. She just knew that when she saw that suitcase, her chest would tighten, her throat would close, and she needed to push him away. It wasn't until years into their marriage, sitting in a therapist's office, that the memory surfaced. Her father used to travel for work, and every time he left, He came back a little different, a little more distant, a little less present. Until one day, when she was 8 years old, he left and never came back at all. Her 8-year-old heart learned, when people leave, they stop loving you. So 30 years later, her adult self was doing the only thing that made sense to that terrified child inside she was trying to leave first. She was trying to stop loving him before he could stop loving her. She wasn't pushing him away because she didn't love him. She was pushing him away because she loved him so much that the thought of losing him was unbearable. Here are some signs an old wound is running the show. Overreaction. Someone makes a small mistake and you explode. The reaction is way out of proportion to what actually happened. Triggers you don't understand. Certain tones of voice, facial expressions, or situations make you intensely anxious or angry, and you don't know why. Repeating patterns. You keep ending up in the same painful situations, bad relationships, toxic friendships, jobs where you're undervalued because some part of you is trying to solve an old problem. Emotional flooding. You feel emotions so intensely that you can't think straight, can't find words, can't regulate yourself. Let me give you another example. Think about someone who was never allowed to be angry as a child. Every time they got upset, their parents would say, "Don't you dare use that tone with me. Go to your room until you can be pleasant." So they learned, anger is bad. Anger gets you isolated. Anger means rejection. They became the good girl or good boy, always pleasant, always agreeable, always smiling. Except the anger didn't go away. It just went underground. And now, as an adult, they never get angry directly, but they're angry all the time. They're forgetful. "Oh, sorry. I forgot to do that thing you asked." They're late. Traffic was terrible. They make subtle digs disguised as jokes. They give the silent treatment. They say "I'm fine" in a tone that clearly communicates they are absolutely not fine. This is called passive aggression, and it's what happens when you were never allowed to feel or express anger directly, so it leaks out sideways. The people around them feel like they're walking on eggshells. They feel constantly criticized, but can never quite pin down what they did wrong. And the person doing it, they have no idea, because the anger isn't conscious. It's a 40-year-old wound that never healed, expressing itself in the only way it knows how. Take a breath. Put your hand on your heart. Think about a time you overreacted, a time when you hurt someone and didn't fully understand why. Can you see it now? Can you see the old wound underneath the reaction? Say this quietly. I was responding to something from my past, not to what was actually happening. And I'm sorry to them, and to the younger version of me who's still carrying that pain. This is the second reason hurt people hurt people. Their unhealed wounds get triggered in the present, and they react from that wounded place, creating new pain without meaning to. Reason 3. Learned behavior. I need to show you something that might be hard to hear. There's a fire burning inside you, but you didn't light it. Someone else did, years ago, maybe decades ago, and they handed it to you and said, "Here, hold this," and you've been holding it ever since. Imagine a Monday morning. A man, we'll call him Michael, is at work. His boss humiliates him in front of the entire team, calls him incompetent, laughs at his ideas. Michael is carrying rage in his chest. Heavy, hot, throbbing. He comes home. His 7-year-old son has left his toys scattered across the living room. It's a small thing, a normal thing, but something inside Michael ignites. Why is this house always a mess? He hears himself shouting. Can you do anything right? His son's face crumbles. Hess, 7 years old. He doesn't understand that his dad isn't really angry at him. He only knows that the person he loves most in the world thinks he can't do anything right. He doesn't cry. He learned a long time ago that crying makes it worse, so he swallows his tears, picks up his toys, and makes himself very, very small. And the rage that Michael's boss put in him? It's now in his son, a small, hot coal in his 7-year-old chest. Now watch what happens next. That night, after his son is asleep, Michael sits in the dark, and he realizes something. He hears his father's voice, the same words, the exact same tone. Why can't you do anything right? His father used to say that to him 30 years ago, and Michael hated it. He promised himself he would never, ever say those words to his own child. But he just did. That's the moment Michael makes a choice that will change everything. The next morning, he sits down with his 7-year-old and says something his father never said to him. Yesterday, when you left your toys out, I yelled at you. That was wrong. You're not what's wrong. I am learning how to be a better dad, and I'm sorry I hurt you. His son looks up at him with those big eyes and says, "It's okay, Daddy. Everyone makes mistakes." And Michael thinks, yes, but I don't have to pass this mistake on to you. That was 5 years ago. Michael still catches himself sometimes, feeling that rage rise up. But now he pauses. He breathes. He remembers that 7-year-old face, and he chooses differently. This is learned behavior. You learned how to handle anger from watching how the adults around you handled anger. You learned how to handle conflict from watching how your parents handled conflict. You learned how to express love, how to set boundaries, how to deal with disappointment, all by watching. And if what you watched was unhealthy, that's what you learned. Here are some example patterns. Your father gave the silent treatment when upset, so you do the same to your partner. Your mother criticized to show she cared, so you criticize your kids for their own good. Your parents screamed during arguments, so you scream during arguments. Love in your house was conditional, so you make others earn your love. Emotions were dismissed, so you dismiss others' emotions. Affection was rare, so you struggle to show affection. But here's the most painful part. You're not just repeating what was done to you, you're teaching the next generation to do it too. Your children are watching you the same way you watched your parents. They're learning from you the same way you learned from them. Which means unless you break this pattern, it will continue through your children, through their children, on and on. Think right now. What's one thing your parent did that you hated, that you swore you'd never do? Are you doing it? Maybe not in exactly the same way. Maybe not as extreme. But is the pattern there? The sharp tone, the cold withdrawal, the criticism disguised as care, the conditional love. Can you see it? This is the third reason hurt people hurt people. They learned that this is how relationships work. They're repeating a script that was handed to them, passing down pain like a poisoned inheritance. Reason 4. Lack of empathy and self-awareness. Now we arrive at the final reason, and this one is the hardest to face. When you're drowning in your own pain, you can't see anyone else's. Let me show you what I mean. Picture a man standing in a room, he's on fire. Flames are consuming him. The pain is unbearable, and all around him are people who love him, his wife, his children, his friends, all reaching out, trying to help, but he can't see them. All he can see are the flames. All he can feel is the burning. So when his wife tries to get close, he pushes her away violently. When his child asks for attention, he screams at them to leave him alone. When his friend tries to help, he lashes out. He doesn't mean to hurt them, but he's in so much pain that their pain doesn't register, has so consumed by his own fire that he can't see his setting them on fire too. This is what happens when pain becomes all-consuming. You lose the ability to step outside yourself, to see how your actions affect others, to connect cause and effect. Let me tell you about Rachel. Rachel grew up feeling invisible. Her parents were busy, distracted, overwhelmed with work and problems. She learned early, my needs don't matter. I don't matter. As an adult, Rachel became desperate to be seen, to matter, to be important to someone. So she made everything about her. When her boyfriend shared good news about a promotion, Rachel immediately pivoted. That's great, but you won't believe what happened to me today. When her best friend was going through a divorce, crying on the phone, Rachel would say, I know exactly how you feel. When my ex left me, it was so much worse. Because she wasn't trying to be selfish. She wasn't trying to hurt people. She was just so starved for attention, so desperate to be seen, that she genuinely could not hold space for anyone else's experience. For 3 years, her boyfriend tried. He was patient. He was kind. He kept hoping she'd see him. Until one day, he said, "Rachel, I don't think you actually love me. I think you love having an audience." And he left. That's when Rachel finally looked in the mirror. And she saw it. All her friends had slowly drifted away. Every relationship ended the same way. People felt drained, unheard, like they existed only to validate her. She was creating the very rejection she feared most, but she couldn't see it. Because here's the truth about self-awareness. You can't see the picture when you're inside the frame. When you're consumed by your own pain, anger, fear, or desperation, you lose perspective. You lose the ability to see yourself clearly, to understand how you're coming across, to recognize the impact you're having. Here are some signs you're operating without empathy or self-awareness. Everything is about you. You struggle to celebrate others' success or sit with their pain without redirecting to your own experience. You're always the victim. Even when you've hurt someone, you find a way to make yourself the injured party. You can't hear feedback. Any criticism feels like an attack. You get defensive immediately rather than considering whether there's truth in it. You don't apologize meaningfully. You say, "I'm sorry you feel that way," instead of, "I'm sorry I did that." You hurt people, then feel victimized by their reaction. Why is everyone so sensitive? Why are people always leaving me? Here is an example. A father constantly yells at his teenage son. The son becomes withdrawn, stops talking to him. The father's response? "Why won't you talk to me? Why are you being so difficult? I've given you everything." He genuinely cannot see that his behavior created this distance. In his mind, he's the victim of an ungrateful child. The pain of feeling rejected by his son is so intense that it blocks him from seeing his own role in creating that rejection. And here's the devastating part. Often, the people who hurt others most are those who see themselves as victims. Because when you're a victim, you don't have to take responsibility. You don't have to change. You don't have to look at the painful truth of what you've become. But Rachel did something different. She started therapy. It took 2 years of hard work. Learning to sit with someone's pain without making it about her. Learning to celebrate someone's joy without feeling threatened by it. Learning to ask, "How are you?" and actually listen to the answer. She recently reached out to her ex. Not to get back together, just to say, "You were right. I couldn't see you. I was so busy trying to be seen that I became blind to everyone around me. I'm sorry." He wrote back, "Thank you for saying that. That's all I ever needed to hear. Take a breath. This is hard." Ask yourself right now, is there someone in your life who keeps trying to tell you something about how you make them feel, about something you do that hurts, and have you been defending, explaining, justifying, instead of just listening? What if they're right? What if your pain has made you blind to their pain? This is the fourth reason hurt people hurt people. They're so consumed by their own suffering that they can't see, can't feel, can't truly understand the suffering they're causing others. The truth about responsibility now, we've arrived at the most important part of this entire video. You understand now. You see the 4 mechanisms. Number 1, self-protection mode. Number 2, unhealed wounds. Number 3, learned behavior. Number 4, lack of empathy and self-awareness. You understand why hurt people, but understanding is not permission. Let me be crystal clear about something. It's not your fault that you were hurt. You didn't choose your childhood. You didn't choose your trauma. You didn't choose the nervous system you developed in response to pain. You were just a child, trying to survive in the best way you knew how. None of that is your fault. But, and this is the most important, but of your entire life, it is your responsibility not to pass that hurt on. It's not your fault you carry this fire, but it is your responsibility to make sure you don't burn everyone around you. It's not your fault you have these wounds, but it is your responsibility to heal them instead of bleeding on people who didn't cut you. It's not your fault you learned these patterns, but it is your responsibility to break them instead of passing them to the next generation. Here is the hard truth. Every single person who hurt you probably had a reason. They were probably hurt too. They probably had their own trauma, their own unhealed wounds, their own learned patterns. And you know what? None of that excuses what they did to you. Understanding their pain doesn't erase yours. Knowing they were hurt doesn't make it okay that they hurt you. And the same applies to you. Your pain doesn't give you permission to hurt others. Your trauma doesn't excuse your behavior. Your difficult childhood doesn't make it okay to be difficult now. You are both the hurt child who deserves compassion and the adult who must take responsibility. Both are true. Both matter. This is the paradox of healing. You need compassion for the wounded child you were. That child deserves love, understanding, gentleness. But you also need accountability for the adult you are now. That adult is responsible for their choices, their words, their impact on others. Compassion without accountability becomes excuse-making. Accountability without compassion becomes shame. You need both. Feel the weight of this, the responsibility and the compassion, the understanding and the accountability. Because this is where healing actually begins, in the space where you can say, I was hurt. That wasn't my fault. I'm still carrying that pain, and I'm responsible for making sure I don't hurt others with it. The beginning of healing. So what do you do? How do you break this pattern? I'm going to give you one practice, simple but profound. Something you can do right now, today. You're going to turn around and look at the fire. Most of us spend our whole lives running from our pain. We bury it in work, in relationships, in achievements, in addictions. We tell ourselves, we're fine. We've moved on. That was a long time ago, but denying the fire doesn't put it out. It just means you're burning while pretending you're not. So here's what you're going to do. Step 1. Acknowledge it. Say it out loud, even if it's just in a whisper, even if you're alone. I was hurt. What happened to me was not okay. I deserved better. Name what happened. I was emotionally neglected. I was criticized constantly. I was made to feel worthless. I was abandoned when I needed support. I was taught that love had to be earned. Whatever it is, name it. Call it what it actually was. Don't minimize it. Don't compare it to others who had it worse. Your pain is valid. Your experience matters. Step 2. Feel it. Place one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Take a breath, and let yourself feel the pain you've been running from. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to grieve for the child who deserved better. You're not being weak. You're not being dramatic. You're being human. The pain you're avoiding is taking up enormous amounts of energy. When you finally let yourself feel it, that energy becomes available for healing. Step 3. See the pattern. Think about how that pain shows up now. Do you push people away when they get close? That's self-protection. Do you overreact to certain situations? Those are unhealed wounds. Do you do things your parents did that you hated? That's learned behavior. Do you struggle to see how you affect others? That's lack of self-awareness. Just see it. Don't judge it. Don't shame yourself. Just notice, oh, this is the pattern. This is how the pain moves through me. Step 4. Choose differently, even once. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to fix everything at once. Just choose differently. One time. The next time you feel triggered, pause for 5 seconds before responding. Take 3 deep breaths. Ask yourself, is this about them or about the wound? The next time you want to hurt someone, feel the urge. Don't act on it. Say instead, I'm feeling really triggered right now. Can we talk about this in a few minutes? Just once. Choose healing over hurting. Choose responsibility over reactivity. Choose awareness over autopilot. That one choice creates a crack in the pattern, and through that crack, light can start to enter. Right now, put your hand on your heart, close your eyes if you can, and say to yourself, I see the fire I'm carrying. I understand why I've been passing it on. And from this moment forward, I'm going to start learning how to set it down. Not perfectly, not all at once, but little by little, Choice by choice, the pain stops with me. Feel what happens in your body when you say that. That shift, that possibility, that small light that says it doesn't have to be this way. Here's what I need you to understand. Every time you pause before reacting, you're not just changing your behavior, you're healing your lineage. Every time you choose awareness over autopilot, you're not just helping yourself, you're saving everyone who comes after you. When you break this pattern, your children won't have to carry what you carried. They won't grow up walking on eggshells. They won't learn that love is conditional. They won't spend years in therapy undoing their childhood. They'll know, in their bones, that they're safe, loved, and enough. Your relationships will transform. You'll stop choosing people who recreate your wounds. You'll stop sabotaging the good things. You'll stop pushing away people who actually love you. You'll be able to receive love, to trust it, to rest in it. You will change. You'll look in the mirror and no longer see the person who hurt you. You'll see the person you always were beneath all the wounds. The person who gives from fullness instead of depletion. The person who breaks cycles instead of continuing them. This is your inheritance now. Not pain, not patterns, not trauma passed down through generations, but healing, wholeness, freedom. It starts with understanding why hurt people hurt people. It continues with taking responsibility for the fire you carry, and it transforms when you choose, again and again, to feel the pain instead of passing it on. You are the one who sees the pattern clearly. You are the one who understands the machinery. You are the one brave enough to say, "The pain stops with me." Welcome home to yourself. Welcome home to responsibility with compassion. Welcome home to the freedom of breaking the chain. If you made it this far, something inside you shifted. You saw yourself in these stories. You recognized the patterns. You felt the truth of it in your body. Don't let this just be another video you watched and forgot. In the comments, tell me, which of the 4 reasons resonated most with you? Type self-protection if you recognize yourself striking first. Type unhealed wounds if you know you're reacting from old pain. Type learned behavior if you're repeating patterns from your past. Or type lack of awareness if you're realizing you've been blind to your impact. Just those words. That's your promise to yourself that you're going to start paying attention. And if this video helped you see yourself clearly for the first time, if it gave you language for something you felt but couldn't name, share it. Share it with the person in your life who's still trapped in this cycle, the friend who keeps hurting people, the family member who can't break the pattern, the person you love who's still running from their pain. Because healing is hard to do alone, and sometimes the bravest thing we can do is show someone else that transformation is possible. The fire is still burning, but you don't have to keep passing it on. That child inside you is waiting. It's time to turn around and bring them home.